We're actually going to have 3 beautiful models with us later, and Sascha is going to show us some really cool and some cool styles that you can do with the device, hot off the catwalks from Paris, Milan and New York. Now, just a few words, you've heard a little bit about it before, but how does it actually work and why is this so important? Well, when you do heat styling, it's obviously all about the temperature, so you're applying heat to style your hair. And the challenge is that, what's the right temperature? It needs to be high enough to give you the perfect style as quickly as possible. But it needs to be as low as needed to avoid any kind of hair damage. And where is that sweet spot? That's really what the consumer needs to find. What is the right temperature for me and my hair? And the challenge with that is, it depends on so many factors. So I can't actually say to you, the right temperature for you is 170 degrees and off you go, because it changes. For example, it's different between 2 different people. So between me and Sascha, I have a different hair length, I have a different hair texture, and I have to admit I color my hair, and I think Sascha doesn't color his hair quite yet. So, different temperatures for him and for me. But even if I just look at myself, today versus tomorrow, the ideal temperature is different. Why is that? Because the speed with which I pull the straightener, the force I apply, the amount of hair I put into the straightener is not identical every time. I'm not a robot. I'm a human being, so I vary. And all of these things determine the perfect temperature. And to make it even worse, even for me, on one single day, the perfect temperature is different between my roots and my tips. Because the condition of the hair is different, which means my roots are probably drier, the tips are probably drier than my roots, so I need a different temperature there. So, looking at it that way, it's almost impossible for a consumer to always use the perfect temperature. You have to have a computer to do that. And that is exactly the idea behind SensoCare. It is a mini computer that is intelligent enough to do it all for you.
One of the trends right now is short hair, right? So, by the way, this is just semi-prepared. This is not anything to look at right now. It's just straight hair. We straighten it very beautifully. It's what I would call beautiful straight hair. However, there's a little ponytail hidden underneath. I'm going to explain in a second. What's important to understand about straight hair, if you use a straightener that's too hot and not set to the right level of your hair, she's got fairly average hair. It's not particularly thick, not particularly thin, it's colored. If you would use a straightener that's set at a too high temperature, her ends would start looking brittle. What you want to do is you take a strand that's roughly the same size as the heater plates. I just combed it through to take all the knots, and then you're just running the straightener down very gently to the ends, and you're bending it inwards. So what you get is beautiful shiny hair. That's what you want every day. So it's very simple.
And that's actually, you use just the perfect speed, and of course you use the perfect speed because you're an expert and you do it all the time.
Yeah.
But the funky thing with the new SensoCare is it actually tells you whether you're pulling it through at the right speed. So there's a little smiley or grumpy in the display, and I really like that you get this, constant feedback that you're very involved. Although it's doing all the thinking for you, it's still, helping you to do the right things, and it's still telling you what it's doing.
So what I just said, one of the main trends right now is short hair. Now I do understand that not all of you want to chop their hair off to follow the trend. So I'm going to show you a quick way of how to fake, if I'm able to pull this away. Jesus.
You straightened it too well. It's not so straight that you can't...
no, I'm just... Bigger clip. There we are. There's always another way. So, quite simply, just going to turn this around. It's basically ponytail, going from one side to the next. On the top, you take off the top section. Then what I've done underneath here, you can see there's a bit more volume than usual. I just backcombed the roots by using the brush and push this inwards. From the top and the bottom. What you then do is you take only the 2 outside bristle rows and gently, as in an angle, and just smooth it out like that. You then take an elastic. You gather all the hair, like you would do for a ponytail. You get it all, but I'm placing the elastic right at the end. The last time I'm pulling this through, I'm not pulling the hair through all the time, or all the way, so it creates this little loop. Make sense? What you then do, you just roll it inwards. Take one of these grips, and you just push it into the base of your ponytail. And with one grip, you've got short hair. This is straightener. Just really quickly run this through to smooth out the texture. So you then take the same strand. By the way, I can touch this right away. So it tells me right now how warm it needs to be for her hair. I then take the hair and wrap it around 2 fingers. Make sense? So it's very simple. You just literally use 2 fingers, wrap it around, so it just gets this loop. You then take the straightener and clamp the hair, and you hold it. For about, I guess, 2 to 3 seconds, you open it and move it around. So you're clamping the whole thing. It's a really old technique. It's very, I mean, I've done this probably the first time 15 years ago, but it comes...
Come on, did you start styling when you were 6 years old? I can't believe that.
Okay, thank you. What are you doing tonight, dinner? So, ringlet that literally just drops right into this deep wave. So if you do this yourself, you want to start at the back, clamp, 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 clamp. It is a little bit experimental, but if you want to know a way how to get there, this is the way. Tiny bit of hairspray. Smooth out the top layers, tiny bit of hairspray on top.
And she has amazingly shiny hair, because we always say with curly hair, wavy hair, it's very difficult to get that kind of shine. But
that's exactly. If you're again using something that's too hot, your hair won't shine. It will have a brittle, burnt, dry feel, and it's not going to move. This is inspired by the Gucci show. Sort of a very loose, very fresh wave, no, actually a curl. You've got a lot of bounce in there. She's got, again, the actual single hair is quite fine, but she's got tons of it. So you want hair that looks done but not done. Again, a strand that I've kept for you in the back just to show you one more way of doing so. There are tons of videos online that I've watched and I've found where it's somehow explained how to use a straightener to create curls. Most of them, when I tried them, don't work because they can't. You have to literally clamp it and wrap it around, it doesn't work. So here I'm going to take a strand, half it, take the strand, clamp it around, twist it once, wrap the hair on the outside, and then very gently pull it down, very slowly, but the plates are actually half open. If you would have a straightening iron or device that doesn't have very smooth surfaces, it would get stuck. This way, you're getting a ringlet in 1 second.